So, someone commented on my previous video where I was talking about the GT3 mods in Automobilista 2, and they was discussing, or more stating, how they felt like GT3 cars in Automobilista 2 weren't the most realistic and said LMU was better. So today, per the suggestion, I'm going to be driving GT3 cars in Automobilista 2 and then LMU. And what we're going to drive is specifically the McLaren 720S because it's in both games. Though there are a few differences, I will get into that. But also, since LMU doesn't have a time trial mode, we will be driving, doing an out lap and then a hot lap 1 or 2 to see how the cars feel. So now, let's jump into Automobilista 2, where we will see how good the cars handle. So if we just start the engine here. I accidentally turned it off. But now let's see. So the main differences, as I understand it, are that in auto, or in general, I don't know if there are any real power differences. All I know is the ones in Automobilista 2, I think, have a different tire. I believe these are Michelin, whilst in LMU they are Goodyear. And that's the main difference. And also in LMU they have different aero packages because the World Endurance Championship wanted their own aero packages. But so far, I mean, the car's feeling slidey. I've talked about quite a bit. I don't fully feel. They're a bit there, but they're not really floaty as people say. And then the person didn't like the audio I had, the tire audio, because it gives them a headache or something. I don't fully understood the comment. And they suggested I should maybe lower it down as to see if that's better. And in my opinion it's not, because these tire sounds might be bad, but I like having them loud because it gives an indication of tire slip. Even though it's not the most accurate, it actually tells you when it starts to happen, not the amount. I forgot it was this corner. Here I thought it was the other layout. But if we just keep on going, let's see how good the car feels. So the tires haven't heated up a lot, but they have a bit. And as you can see, they're trying to push. Made me get a lot of understeer. So it's mostly I'm actually trying to use the maximum performance of the tire, and by that I mean in trail braking situations, where it seems like the issues are in Automobilista 2. And there has been this constant point of cold tires in Automobilista 2, maybe not having the least amount of you don't lose a ton of performance. I do feel like you lose a lot, but maybe not as much when comparing to real life. Like there you could see I'm on the braking, I have a lot of issues when I'm not braking to compensate for the worst performance. And if you're wondering why I'm racing at midnight, it's because I had it set before for midnight for something I was doing. I don't fully remember what it was, but then I forgot to change it. I still feel like it's quite cool, these dark. I do feel like the cars are a bit wild, which is something I still prefer. Because like the ones in Race Room, they don't feel a thing, and that feels a bit weird in my opinion, how planted they feel. So there I had a bit of an issue. But we'll just do another lap with green tires to see a sort of lap time I can do, and also how good the tires actually feel. I like the TC, how you can actually push the car but still lose it like that, which is something I feel like in some games you can't fully do. Though in Automobilista 2 that slight loss of grip, it's not, you don't feel it super clearly. It's not very clear. Like when you start to lose it a bit, it feels a bit like a normal slide, but then it just loses it. And there it's very, it's a very visual. I don't fully know the word, but what I'm trying to say is, when you're losing time by when you're starting to spin, it's not really me feeling it in the FFP which knows I'm going to spin. It's me actually seeing it, because all spins seem to roughly look the same, where you're trying to turn to compensate for the spin. It doesn't work, so then you can really see that you're actually going to spin. So that's something to think about. So that's something interesting though, that all spins do look quite the same. But if I remember correctly, it's not fully like that in real life. You don't fully go as much by visuals. And there I crashed, so you can push the car, but there are a few issues with the braking, it seems. With trail braking definitely, but that's I felt in general with these cars in Automobilista 2. We have to mostly brake in a straight line to then actually be able to drive them. Like you see here, you have no real issues, but then getting through to a trail braking corner and you have issues. So you see here, I'm already 1 second up because I was doing less trail braking, so that's something interesting. But now let's jump into LMU and see how that feels. Okay, so now we are in LMU and driving the McLaren as before. Is this the right way? I think so. Screw the pit limiter. But one interesting detail which is different here compared to AMS2. First, I just remember now the pit exit is different because they follow different rules, but also the heat map, the tire heat map on the right, in the bottom right, by the rev limiter, it shows the flash temp. It's not like Automobilista 2, which is the middle. And the FFP is different, but that's mostly due to me using custom FFP. The brakes feel very good in this car compared to Automobilista 2. And yeah, the cars feel a lot more planted in this. But that could generally be FFP, Because I've heard people just change the FFB in Automobilista 2 and the cars feel a lot better. See, I felt a bit of movement there, but then putting on the throttle it just felt like it pulled. I don't know how realistic that is in general, but it does feel a bit weird. It's not as planted as in Race Room, but it's still good. And also Daniel Morad made a video on this, explaining how in this one you could also achieve a lot of slip angle, which is interesting, but here the FFB just in general feels a bit different compared to Automobilista 2. Which is to be expected. So the game does feel quite nice. That I won't deny. The game feels very good. It's why I don't play it is because it doesn't have a time trial leaderboard, which is something I really like. But also it doesn't have custom liveries, which is something I really like doing. Automobilista 2 in general just feels more convincing for me, because any car which feels planted like this, in my opinion, it feels a bit weird. Because Formula 1 cars we know are a bit planted, or quite planted, but that's mostly due to downforce, whilst in slower corners they don't feel as planted. And in Automobilista 2 they still feel not like you could just push them forever. Because which you can do that in Automobilista 2, the Formula High Tech Gen 2, that's a convincing feeling, because here you don't feel what I feel. What maybe I'm lacking the feeling of is weight transfer. I don't fully feel it. I can see the car dipping a bit, but I don't fully feel the weight transfer. I feel it a bit side to side, but not fully forward when going forwards and backwards. Like I feel it laterally, but not longitudinally. This car actually feels very nice. I can say this, if we just don't look at the times, this car in this LMU is a lot easier to drive because it doesn't move around as much. I don't fully understand if that's what people call floaty or what, but I feel like that feeling you get. Okay, so it seems like the trail braking issue is still a bit here too. Maybe I'm just pushing too much. But in general, these cars feel a lot easier in this game compared to AMS2. And now something happened. I don't fully understand what happened, but my screen went black. The game came out a lot whiter. I don't know, something happened. But still, yeah, as I said, the cars feel very planted in here. And also going on the throttle, they don't feel that affected. So if we just try and switch a bit. Okay, so that's that camera view. Okay, so now, okay, so there I could feel sliding. But if we do, okay, so that's backwards. I'm trying to figure out how to change the lap times. The actual, that option. Wait, if I go up. Okay. It doesn't really... I don't... Okay, so... I don't seem like I can figure out how to change the TC, but I feel like I'm done enough in here for us to do a little rundown of everything and then end the video. So, what do I think about LMU? Well, or the comparison. Well, Automobilista 2, the cars move around a bit more and they feel more alive, in my opinion. They feel like they don't feel too planted. And in LMU, they feel a bit easier to drive because you don't really feel that. You don't really feel them moving around a lot, so it makes it a bit easier. What's more realistic? God knows. I have not driven the car in real life, so I can't say. All I know is James Baldwin, but okay, but let's disregard him. But he helped work on this car, so at least it should be realistic to some degree. But what do you think? Comment down below, and once you're down there, please hit the like button and also subscribe. My next video, we'll have to see what it's on, because I thought there would be an Automobilista 2 update by now, but there hasn't been any. So, as I said, God knows when that will come. Otherwise, I don't think there's anything else I have. If there are any video ideas, like what happened this week, comment them down below. I will have a look and see if they are good or not. But, until then, I've been Racing Legend, you've been my amazing viewers. Thank you for watching. Goodbye!